everybody, and welcome to episode 103 of the Let's Play World. Today we're going to start off by talking about a couple of updates. We've got a few projects I want to knock out today, and then we'll finish up today talking about some future plans. I'm starting off today over here at the lodge, and I've been thinking a little bit about what I want to do with this space. For those of you who haven't seen the movie The Shining, which is what this is kind of based off of, there's a couple of key locations in that film, and I think we might be able to squeeze a couple of those into this space. It's going to be a pretty cool thing, but there's some stuff I want to do back at base before I get started on this. Let's run into the Nether. I've done a little bit of work over here on the hallway that leads out to the lodge. So you can see I put a ceiling on it. I've put these bumpers on the side. We're definitely still not spawn proof. Need to put some carpet in here and probably some glass on the sides. I decided to put the bumper at this level because there are ghasts out there. And then the other thing is this hallway that we're walking toward, you can kind of see it and it's kind of ugly. And so putting the wall here at this height kind of masks that so we don't have to see it. We still get a pretty cool view without seeing all that ugly exterior. Second update is Minecraft Music Part 2 is available on Spotify, Apple Music, all the usual streaming platforms. I will leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. Back here at the base, I've got a few things that I want to work on today. Mostly kind of updating some old things. And I had talked about this a little bit in the previous episode. So one thing I want to do today is I want to add mangrove wood to our arboretum and our tree museum so that that is all up to date. I want to add a Sculk sensor to our front door, and that way we don't have to push a button every time we go in and out of our base. And the last thing I want to do is update our wall of tasks and make a plan for some of our future projects. So when I was over at the lodge, I had a little bit of a realization that there's a couple of different sections to our world. There's this area here, which is kind of the old world, where our base and the spawn chunks and all of that are. And there's still a lot we have to do here in the old world. Got the city project, got the zoo, the spawn chunks, Prismarine farm, a lot to do yet before we move on to the new world. And that's kind of where the lodge and all of this new terrain is that we've discovered. There's a whole bunch of stuff I'd like to do up there, but I kind of feel like we need to do one thing at a time. And then after the new world, of course, there is the unexplored world, all of this that we haven't even visited. I was recently over at my villager trading hall, and I managed to get a woodland mansion map, and we still haven't visited one of those yet. And I have no idea where it is, if it's going to be in this area or if it's going to be way off in some distant land. We'll see. So what I'm thinking is we should probably finish the old world projects first. Then we can move on to the new world, and then of course the unexplored world. And you know, I was also considering, since I've built so many farms and things already, maybe it's time to start a new world. But we've come so far with this one. You know, 100 episodes is a pretty monumental event, and like I was saying, there's so much more that we haven't seen yet, so I think we're going to stick around here for a while. To begin today, let's get some mangrove wood and get our arboretum all updated. Let's see here, I think I've got some wood in here, so I'm going to grab that. I think I've got some propagules, I do. A few of those, and a few mangrove leaves. We're going to run over here to the Arboretum, and first thing we're going to do is plant some trees. We have all the trees represented here, except for mangrove. Got the acacia, the birch and the spruce, the jungle wood, got the dark oak, got the regular oak, and the azalea. And I think right here is where we're going to do some mangrove. From here, I think we're going to put one back here, and then one maybe a little closer here. See what those do. While we're waiting for those to grow up, let's run down to the tree museum and get some things updated down there. First thing we obviously need to do is add mangrove to this. We need to add mangrove to our wood examples, and we need to add the propagule to our saplings. And we are all up to date. Obviously, we're a little off-center here. Hopefully in the future, they'll come out with another type of wood and then we can make everything even again. And I really like how you can see all of the types of leaves side by side. Like the mangrove leaves look really different than anything else that we've had. You know, and looking at them compared to like the spruce or the jungle leaves, their textures are really, really interesting. Looks like our mangrove trees have grown. Man, they are weird looking. Just so bizarre. This one's got these really tall, tall roots. This one's a little lower to the ground. Has like these big lobes of leaves. Weird, weird trees. But I think that's going to work for our purposes. Now that we've got the Arboretum all updated, the next thing I want to take care of is this thing. This is just a little platform up here in the sky that I originally built so that I could AFK above my creeper farm, right below us as you can see, but we don't really need it anymore. The creeper farm works really well, and it's just kind of now this ugly anomaly up in the sky, so we're going to tear it down. Okay, we're getting stuff done. Next task we're going to tackle is the front door. So this is a 3x3 piston door, and I did not design this. When I did the video where I built this, I left a link to the person who actually designed it. It's a pretty cool design because it's very, very thin, so it fits in a really small area. And then underneath, there is some redstone, and when I push this button, opens the door, and then on the other side over there is another button that triggers the same redstone. And then somewhere over here, if I remember right, is a little bit of a pulse extender. So when I push this, signal comes over and the pulse is extended, and then it closes the door. Otherwise, the door would just open and close really, really fast. So this little pulse extender gives us a little bit of time to run through. Go ahead and get down into our crawl space here. Haven't been down here in a long time. You can see back in the day I was using pumpkins to light everything up. Yeah, this is our little pulse extender, and let's see, where's the button? Button's right there, so that is the redstone that gets triggered. This takes a moment to dissipate, and then this redstone goes all the way to the other side, so if the button gets pushed, comes up here and uses the same redstone pulse extender. Kind of show you. Slowly dissipates, and then when it turns off, the door closes again. So if we want to get Sculk involved here, we just need to figure out what our trigger is going to be to open the door. Us walking up to the door might be a good one, but as you can hear, there's a wandering villager outside, and the door would have opened for him as well. Or if a zombie walked up, door would open for them. So I think a different trigger other than just walking is probably going to be smarter. Yep, just make yourself at home. So I think what we might use is bells. See if I pop that. out of there and replace it with flat bottom. Place it in this orientation. I walk up to it and hit it. Great. On the other side, do the same thing. One right here. Way we can walk up, ring the bell, door will open. Let's see if we can figure this out. Got all my redstone goodies here. The bells are basically just one block away from each other. They're both right there. And Sculk sensors can detect within about an 8-block radius. So if we put something just right down here, we should be totally fine. First thing we need to do is figure out how much of a signal the bell creates. I'm going to put a comparator coming out of this guy, and we're going to put some redstone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so you can see when I walk that we get one of these dusts lining up here. So no matter where I am when I walk, the comparator picks up a frequency of 1. Interesting, this used to be a frequency of 2 with walking, but they seem to adjust them every update, which is kind of interesting. Let's go up to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we seem to get frequency of 6 whenever the bell rings. Now, I want to try something here. One thing I would like to do is I would like to waterlog the Sculk block so that I don't have to hear it. I think I should get the same output. Water here. So now you can see whenever this guy gets triggered, it doesn't make a sound. Yep, we're still getting a frequency of 1 from my walking. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, the same. So the Sculk is just powering all of these blocks, and the comparator is reading the same because there's no degradation here. The same frequency. So even if it's waterlogged, it seems to work just fine. Now that we know that, let's see if we can get a signal of 5 out of an item frame. What we're going to do is we're going to measure this signal. Okay, so we just want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them to come on. So I'm going to start spinning the arrow. Till we go. It's on, isn't it? Yes, it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When the arrow is pointing at the bottom left-hand corner, this is sending out a signal of 5. I was thinking about putting it over here, but I think that's actually going to be too far away. So let me clear a little more room here. We'll probably just put it as close as we can right up front here. Okay, let's see how this goes. It's going to be my output. Put a couple of ticks of delay on there. Spill protection here. So the measured output's going to be, so we're going to put a comparator in subtract mode and a comparator into the side of it. Okay, so this one is going to have the item frame. We're going to make that arrow into the corner. We're getting a signal of 5 going into the side of this. And then I can waterlog this guy. Sensor down there. Water in there. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Too much signal got locked. If I break a block, too much signal. Okay. Jump. Nothing. I ring the bell. There we go. Seems to work pretty well. So in case you're super lost, I did a whole video on this and I will leave a link in the description. This is the video that Pixel Riffs was talking about that explains how this whole circuit works. But basically, Sculk can measure the frequency of an event and the comparator outputs that. So if you measure something and then you subtract a certain number, you basically put a lower limit here. So, you know, I'm subtracting 5. Hello. Where did you even come from? Anyway, I'm subtracting 5 from whatever this reads. So like anything lower than a 6 doesn't even make it here. And then if something is higher than 6, it's going to come around and lock this. But it's only a 6 that is enough to light this up without spilling over and locking the repeater. Again, I know it's kind of complicated. I'll leave a link in the description to that video. Okay, I found a problem with this already. So when I walk up here and hit this bell, nothing will happen. And you might be like, well, it just worked, Todd. What's going on? When I walked up here, my walking triggered the Sculk. So the Sculk is probably settled down, and if I do this now, it'll open. But you have to wait a second for the Sculk to reset. So again, if I walk, the Sculk is being triggered right now, and the bell won't do anything. I might have to rethink this bell idea. Because it's pretty cool, but if I'm being chased by something, I want to be able to get in here when I want to get in here. Well, I'm going to think on that one, but we're going to move on to the next project. And the next project is over here in our Magic Academy. You might remember, there's one, had some tadpoles, and they have turned into frogs. I wonder where the other one is. Hear him. Oh, somehow he's stuck in the cobwebs. All right, we're gonna breed up some more frogs. Once these turn into tadpoles, I'm going to scoop them up and then take them to a different biome so we can get all the different variations of the frogs. This was a big batch. Before we start talking about future plans, I think I'm going to take these OG frogs and move them over to the swamp portion of our zoo. Okay, I'm going to tie these guys up real quick and make this look like a swamp. I feel like this is looking nice and swampy. I looked up on the Wikipedia and found out that frogs can jump 8 blocks, so hopefully they can't get out of here. And there we have our frogs in our swamp area. To finish up today, I want to talk about some future plans. And first, let's get all of the things off the wall that we've recently accomplished. Find mangrove swamp, did that. Swamp area of the zoo, did that. Monuments, we did build one, and I have another idea, but we're going to go ahead and take it off the wall. This one nether project over here, I'm going to move it to the main wall. Okay, that definitely helps clean things up a little bit. I'm going to do a little consolidating here of our zoo projects. And I'm also going to move the hostile mobs over to the main wall. My thinking is the hostile mobs are going to be a totally different experience than the regular mobs. You know, we can't just put them in pens. We need to secure them and make sure they don't kill us or explode. And if we're going to get things like a warden or, you know, a ghast, we need to make sure we design the enclosure in such a way that they aren't killing each other. So that's going to be a whole thing. Now the city's looking a little bare over here, but there's still quite a lot to do. One of them that I'm going to remove is Honda Civic. And I'm going to replace it with street level shops. Now among those street level shops, one of them I want to be like an auto dealer. So the Honda Civic will definitely be in a window, but I have a few other ideas for street-level shops that we can add to our existing skyscrapers. The rail system, we definitely need to figure out where the stops are going to be. You know, I built that one stop amongst the tall skyscrapers, and we could probably add a couple more within the city, and then maybe we want to stop, closer to the base and that sort of thing. Horse stable, I think that's going to be a pretty straightforward build. We gathered up a bunch of the horses in the area, we just need a nice place to keep them. Finish city build. I know that sounds real generic, but basically we just need to finish this thing. A lot of the major builds and the detail, we can keep doing that, but I need to get the skyscrapers and the buildings in place. A lot of them are just boxes is all I'm doing, and I can do a lot of that between episodes, and then during an episode we can add shops or detail, things like that. And I think the final thing, add villagers. Few of you liked the idea of adding villagers to the village or the city to make it feel more alive. Definitely need to figure out a way to keep them safe, make sure they don't escape and just run off into the wilderness, so that'll be a thing as well. And since we scooted the zoo over, it makes room for another column, and I just want to call it Next Up. And here I want to stage the next projects that we're going to work on. That way we can kind of queue up some things, figure out what's most important, and get some of this stuff off the wall that's been up here for a really long time. Now I had mentioned that we kind of have our old world and then we have this new world, and I think the new world projects I want to kind of park. So I'm going to put finish the lodge way over here, and that way we have to get to our old world projects before we start on the new world projects. And that's the state of things. Lots and lots of stuff to do. But remember, if you've got an idea or something you want to see me work on, leave me a comment and I'll add it to the wall of tasks. And if I build your project, I'll put your name on my wall of fame. Oh, and before I forget, thank you for getting me to 500 subscribers. That is quite an achievement, and I really, really appreciate all the support and the comments and the community. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had fun. Please like and subscribe if you want to follow along on the adventure, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.